Hi everyone. Okay, video 14 of my DVD collection in alphabetical order. There's a playlist on my channel. You know the score. Let's get on with it. Charlize Theron in North Country. Probably for me the most entertaining of Alfred Hitchcock's movies, North by Northwest with Cary Grant. Kenneth More and Lauren Bacall in J. Lee Thompson's Northwest Frontier, made in 1960. This was the first film I saw at the cinema, but no, I'm not quite that old. I saw it on reissue with Digby, the Biggest Dog in the World in 1974. Music scene movie Northern Soul. Absolute classic from 1922, F.W. Murnau's Nosferatu. And Werner Herzog's remake from 1979 with Klaus Kinski and Isabella Gianni. I wonder what Robert Eggers' version is going to be like. Excellent documentary this, nostalgia for the light, Chilean film, and it features the great huge telescopes that monitor the stars in the Atacama Desert, but at the same time there's people scouring the earth in the desert as well for signs of our past. So yeah, really interesting, looking at the future, looking at the past. Definitely worth seeing. Directed by Rod Lurie, this is Matt Dillon and Kate Beckinsale in Nothing But the Truth. And Alfred Hitchcock's Notorious, Cary Grant and Ingrid Bergman. Directed by Mary Harron and starring Gretchen Mol, this is The Notorious Betty Page. And Cate Blanchett and Judi Dench in Notes on a Scandal. Steve Martin and Laura Dern in Novocaine. And directed by Fred Zinnemann, this is Audrey Hepburn in The Nun Story. The irrepressible Jerry Lewis in The Nutty Professor. And Josh Hartnett and Julia Stiles in O. Great fun Coen Brothers movie, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? And directed by Joseph Kosinski, this is Oblivion with Tom Cruise. They reunited to work on Top Gun Maverick. Oceans 11, 12 and 13, together with the original Rat Pack Oceans 11. Nice one this, directed by Joe Johnston, who also directed Rocketeer. This is Jake Gyllenhaal, a young Jake Gyllenhaal in October Sky. Directed by Mike Flanagan, this is Oculus. And a classic coupling of Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau, The Odd Couple. Adapted from the Frederick Forsyth novel, this is The Odessa File with John Voight, directed by Ronald Neame. And directed by Gary Sinise, as well as starring him and John Malkovich. This is a really good adaptation of John Steinbeck's Of Mice and Men. One of the most dramatic performances from Sean Connery in his career. This is Sidney Lumet's The Offence. Love Lifts Us Up Where We Belong. This is Richard Gere and Deborah Winger in Taylor Hackford's An Officer and a Gentleman. And a few different documentaries on this disc, all in tribute to Ayrton Senna. Classic bit of Disney, this is Old Yeller and its sequel Savage Sam. And director John Sturges adapts Ernest Hemingway's The Old Man and the Sea with Spencer Tracy. Written and directed by David Mamet, this is Oleana. And directed by Roman Polanski, this is his 2005 adaptation of Charles Dickens' Oliver Twist. Classic horror, Gregory Peck and Lee Remick in The Omen. And the not-so-classic remake with Liev Schreiber. Peter Mullen swims across the English Channel in On a Clear Day. And directed by Mark Rydell, this is Henry Fonda, Jane Fonda and Katharine Hepburn on Golden Pond. From the novel by Neville Shute, this is Gregory Peck, Ava Gardner, Fred Astaire and Anthony Perkins in On the Beach, directed by Stanley Kramer. And Juveniles in Jail movie On the Outs. Bing Crosby and Bob Hope in 4 of the On the Road movies. And a different kind of On the Road, this is based around Jack Kerouac On the Road. Classic musical, Gene Kelly and Frank Sinatra On the Town. And Marlon Brando could have been a contender in On the Waterfront. The best Sergio Leone movie that isn't a Western, Once Upon a Time in America with Robert De Niro. And from Robert Rodriguez, Once Upon a Time in Mexico. Robert Carlyle and Rhys Ifans in Shane Meadows' Once Upon a Time in the Midlands. And the greatest Sergio Leone movie that is a Western, Once Upon a Time in the West. One, a documentary about Formula One. And John Cusack and Demi Moore in One Crazy Summer. One of these low-grade double feature DVDs. This is Marlon Brando in One-Eyed Jacks. And likeable comedy this, George Clooney, Michelle Pfeiffer, One Fine Day. Definitely one of my favourite Jack Nicholson performances in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, directed by Milos Forman. An interesting performance from Robin Williams in this psychological drama, 1 Hour Photo. From the great Powell and Pressburger, One of Our Aircraft is Missing. And Burt Reynolds and Raquel Welch and Jim Brown in 100 Rifles. 100 Years of Horror. This is a documentary about Hammer Studios. And classic Disney, 101 Dalmatians. Directed by Kevin Reynolds, this is Samuel L. Jackson in a high school thriller, 187. And directed by Danny Boyle, this is James Franco getting his hand stuck in 127 Hours. Bit of aged couple romance, James Garner, Julie Andrews, One Special Night. And I quite like this one for being a cross-Canada drama. This is Joshua Jackson going on a motorbike ride across Canada in 1 week. Tony Jaa in Ong Bak. And from Jim Jarmusch, this is Tilda Swinton and Tom Hiddleston in Only Lovers Left Alive. Really good firefighting drama this, based on true events, directed by Joseph Kosinski. This is Only the Brave. And a pretty good western here, directed by, as well as starring, Kevin Costner, Open Range. I wonder what his American saga is going to be like this summer. George Peppard and Sophia Loren in a World War II action thriller, Operation Crossbow, directed by Michael Anderson, who also did Logan's Run. And Cary Grant and Tony Curtis in Operation Petticoat, directed by Blake Edwards. Dana Carvey in Opportunity Knocks. Israeli drama from 2004. This is Or, My Treasure, directed by Karen Yedaya. And this is a bit of TV that snuck in here, but this is Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit. Featuring Glenn Miller and his band, this is Orchestra Wives. And directed by Brian Helgeland, this is Heath Ledger in The Order. And different movie, but this is Jean-Claude Van Damme and Charlton Heston as well in The Order. Kevin Spacey, Colin Farrell and Linda Fiorentino in Ordinary Decent Criminal. And Robert Redford's excellent Oscar-winning Ordinary People. Lillian Gish and Dorothy Gish in the 1921 silent movie Orphans of the Storm. And from director Gillian Armstrong, this is Ralph Fiennes and Cate Blanchett, Oscar and Lucinda. A drama about the Taliban regime, this is Osama. And directed by John Landis, Sylvester Stallone in Oscar. Now available in the Criterion Collection, this is The Others. And I really liked this one. This is Dakota Johnson, Casey Affleck and Jason Segel, Our Friend. Directed by Barbette Schroeder, this is Our Lady of the Assassins. And James Coburn in the spy spoof, Our Man Flint. Love this movie, directed by Sidney Pollack. This is Meryl Streep and Robert Redford, Out of Africa. And great movie from Steven Soderbergh with really good chemistry between George Clooney and Jennifer Lopez, Out of Sight. Filmed nearby in Vancouver, this is Dennis Hopper and Linda Mance in Out of the Blue. And from director Carl Franklin, pretty good one this, with Denzel Washington, Out of Time. Ridiculous, but fun. Written by Neil Simon, this is Jack Lemmon and Sandy Dennis in The Out of Towners. And then late career Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau in Out to Sea. High Noon in Space, this is Sean Connery in Peter Hyams' Outland. And Jane Russell classic, The Outlaw. Directed by and starring Clint Eastwood, this is one of his great westerns, The Outlaw Josie Wales. And from the novel by S.E. Hinton, this is Francis Coppola's The Outsiders. They're still cute together after all these years, Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell in Overboard. And looking ridiculously young here, we've got Paul Rudd and Reese Witherspoon in Overnight Delivery. All kinds of problems when you don't pay the rent in Pacific Heights, directed by John Schlesinger, Matthew Modine, Melanie Griffith and Michael Keaton. From Guillermo del Toro, this is Pacific Rim. He's a very special bear. This is Paddington. A great Canadian short movie this. This is actually a Janus Films edition. This is Paddle by the Sea, directed by Bill Mason. If you ever get the chance to see Bill Mason's Water Walker, thoroughly recommend it. But yeah, this is a nice one. Yep, Mark Wahlberg and Dwayne Johnson in Michael Bay's Pain and Gain. Nice one this, filmed in China, based on a W. Somerset Maugham novel. This is Edward Norton and Naomi Watts, The Painted Veil. Possibly my favourite Doris Day musical, The Pyjama Game. Really colourful, just good fun. And Imprint are just putting out a Kim Novak box set, which includes this film. It's Pal Joey, also starring Rita Hayworth and Frank Sinatra. Another classic Clint Eastwood western, Pale Rider. And from director Volker Schlondorf, who did The Tin Drum, this is Woody Harrelson and Elizabeth Shue in Palmetto. From director Joe Wright, this is Pan with Hugh Jackman. Great movie from Guillermo del Toro, Pan's Labyrinth. Really love this movie, Fox Film Noir. Perhaps people saw it during the pandemic as well. It's Panic in the Streets with Richard Widmark and Jack Palance. Directed by David Fincher, Panic Room. And a not bad film, but pretty underseen, from Ron Howard, The Paper, multi-star cast here that includes Glenn Close and Michael Keaton. Ryan Reynolds, Jeff Daniels and Emma Stone in Paperman. Such a great movie this, Ryan O'Neal and Tatum O'Neal in Peter Bogdanovich's Paper Moon. Classic prison drama with Steve McQueen and Dustin Hoffman. This is Papillon. Another movie you can get through Criterion Collection, Warren Beatty in The Parallax View. HBO miniseries this, Benedict Cumberbatch and Rebecca Hall in Parade's End. And hasn't everyone got this? Bong Joon-ho's excellent Parasite. Hayley Mills ×4 in The Parent Trap and The Parent Trap 2. And I do have the Criterion edition, but I've kept this version as well. One of my all-time favourite movies, Paris, Texas. Jason Statham, Jennifer Lopez in Parker, and Steve Coogan in The Parole Officer. Another bit of TV, but this is David Walliams in Agatha Christie adaptation, Partners in Crime. And a great Peter Sellers movie directed by Blake Edwards, The Party. I really fell for Parker Posey in this one, Party Girl, great fun. And the final film from director David Lean, A Passage to India. First World War Canadian drama, Passchendaele. And Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt in Passengers, directed by Morton Tildum. Directed by Mel Gibson, The Passion of the Christ with Jim Caviezel. And the great partnership of Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn, Pat and Mike. Just been announced by Criterion that they're going to be bringing out an edition of this. This is Sam Peckinpah's Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid with James Coburn and Chris Christopherson. Poetic drama from director Jim Jarmusch. This is Adam Driver in Patterson. And sadly we lost Michael Gambon not too long ago. This is him in Path to War with Alec Baldwin. Definitely one of the greatest war films ever made, Stanley Kubrick's Paths of Glory with Kirk Douglas. And from director Roland Emmerich, this is Mel Gibson and Heath Ledger in The Patriot. With a screenplay by Francis Coppola and directed by Franklin Schaffner, this is George C. Scott in his Oscar-winning performance as Patton. From director Eric Rohmer, this is Pauline at the Beach. And from director John Woo, Ben Affleck and Uma Thurman in Paycheck. Okay, I will leave it there. Thanks very much for watching this. Let me know any comments that you have on any of these movies, and please do join me again for the next installment. Like I say, there is a playlist on my channel in case you're getting lost in any of these, so follow along that way. Hopefully I'll see you soon. Okay, all the best.